great pleasure to be here in Delphi. First time. First and foremost, we're going to do this in English for the global audience. What I wanted to go and unpack, it's going to be a tight 20 minutes. We've got such a big topic to talk about. But what we're going to talk about is unlocking the potential of the circular economy and zero waste. And these two topics are so big, 20 minutes doesn't do it justice. Firstly, I'd like to introduce us, the three of us. I've got Athanasios Polychronopoulos here, founder and CEO of Polygreen, a world-class waste zero management organization. Very proud to be working with him. And then we have Ilektra Kouloumpi, who is a circular economy expert practitioner, which has operated in many, many countries and many continents around the world, executing circular economy practices and with governments, cities, and companies around the world. And myself, I'm Gonios. I'm founder and also of Circulist, and operating in 30 years in the technology sector, building technology startups and taking them global, and working for large multinationals, and an investor and advisor to a few different SaaS companies here in Greece for the last 10 or 12 years. And for the last 5 or 6 years, I've been heavily transitioning towards sustainable and circular practices, with a focus on guiding 1 million product manufacturing leaders and ambitious product entrepreneurs to sustainable and circular practices is the fundamental mission at Circulist. We're going to go straight into it, and the point here is we're going to try and unpack the question, which is unlocking the potential of the circular economy and zero waste. And Ilektra, for you, the question to you is going to be, what is this circular economy? Where do we get started? And let's take us on a journey on where we are and where we can go.
Right, okay. Circular economy, it's quite a holistic concept. Many people usually associate it with recycling, but it's a deeply fundamental change of the system and the way we operate. It's easier to explain it if we think about the way economy is designed now. We have inherited deeply degenerative and linear systems, as we say. We take resources from the earth, we process them and produce products. We use them for a short period of time, and then they become waste. That's a linear, one line. It's not a smart system. In nature, when something dies, it becomes food for something else. And then it falls back into the circle of life. And based on this principle, we have tried to mimic and design economics models that also manage to close the loop of resources. So they try to repair, refurbish, and recycle resources back into the system. And the current state of the world is not that good, as you might know.
That's right.
We keep on consuming resources as if we have an endless fountain. Circle Economy, the organization I've been working for, have designed a metric to measure how circular the world is or a country. It's called Circularity Gap, and actually shows how many resources go back into the system. So what is the gap from the amount of resources that we use per year for all the needs we have, the society, and how much it ends up back to the earth.
I might just say here that these reports are exceptional, world-class, and I strongly recommend you go and download them and read them yourself. So.
Thank you. They have somehow become a reference point for circular economy because they managed to give some measurement. And when we started in 2018, the world was 9.2% circular. That means that 91% of resources coming in the system every year get lost. And now in 2024, we are in 7.1. So we are going backwards, whereas the consumption of resources keeps on growing. In these 6 years, we have consumed 30% of resources that we had consumed since 1900.
Amazing.
The same amount since 1900, 30%. So it's an insane model we have. Yet there are ways to redesign. And I would like to bring some examples of what we mean when we talk about circular economy so that people understand that it's far more creative and far more systemic than just only focusing on recycling. So there are 3 key principles that it's good to remember. 1, everything that goes in the system should be regenerative. Prioritize regenerative resources. Eliminate toxic, use bio-based materials, focus on renewable energy. This can go from, for example, Stockholm wants to become fully fossil fuel-free city by 2030, transitioning out from fossil fuels. France, banning plastic, toxic materials. Single-use plastic materials and products are banned in France in a regulation. And it can go down to prioritizing organic urban farming and agriculture in Amsterdam, providing peri-urban areas for local organic food production. So everything we use and we bring in the system, we wanna make it in a regenerative way. Now, when we have products, how do we extend their lifetime? So how can we keep them as long as possible? And here comes all this thinking about repair, refurbish, extend in every way possible. We have business models like Patagonia launching this second-hand collection.
Resell model.
Yeah, either you bring it to them and they repair it and they resell it back to the system, to their website, or they provide you with ways so that you can repair it yourself.
Yeah.
IKEA, they are leasing furniture.
Yep.
And they are, in that way, allowing for you, when something is broken, to bring it back and they repair it.
Yep.
So this is the second fundamental thing. Third, when something ends its life, becomes waste, bring it back into the system. Use and imagine waste as value and as a resource. And here we can think of like models, industrial symbiosis. Imagine
I don't like that word industrial, but that's okay.
But imagine a system of 9 businesses in Denmark where the residues of one business become the input of another.
Yes.
So it's a closed loop system. In Glasgow, we were working with the city. They have a great production, a great industry of breweries and bakeries. So the output of the brewery, which is a residue and they would throw it away, becomes input. The output of the bakery becomes input for the brewery. And then we have models like bread to beer that they scale up a lot.
I'm just conscious of time here.
Yeah.
We can spend all day talking about it.
I'm stopping here with these ideas and give the floor to
I'm going to lead it. Let's lead it to Athanasios and talking about, off the back of that third principle, if we think about it in more detail, you've been an exceptional leader and pioneer in focusing on how do we tackle that. In our conversations, it's always been how can we go from that end point and go back in again. And we're curious, I believe, to hear more about what you've been doing and how you're tackling zero waste.
Thank you, Nick. What is astonishing is what Ilektra said. I don't know if you paid attention. The circularity of resources 6 years ago was 9.2%, and now it is how much? Who paid attention? 7.
That's right.
7. So, do you know what this means? That everything that we are discussing, we are doing it wrong. We are in a wrong way. The system, the ESGs of the companies, the recycling, the initiatives that we declare, we see on LinkedIn every day, it doesn't work, gentlemen. We are going the wrong way. But nevertheless, we are optimistic. Today it's 7 o'clock, 11th of April. What are we going to do? The young guys in the first row, what are you going to do tomorrow at 8 o'clock, 12th of April?
Exactly.
You must do something. Okay, we must wake up. The problem is serious.
That's right.
So, since we are on the ground, we also as a company, we have decided to do things. We just took the initiative. We managed to transform the first island into the first zero-waste certified island in the world. And to our great pleasure, the Prime Minister came and visited 3 days ago, as the General Secretary said at the previous panel. And he made an announcement that this model is going to be implemented in another islands.
Exciting news, exciting news.
It's exciting news, and this is a great start.
World-class news.
Exactly, and please concentrate a little bit. Imagine our country, after 3 years, to have 10, 15, 20, 25 zero-waste island. Can you imagine that?
Exactly.
A circular economy hub for others to come and...
Exactly.
The archipelagos of the Aegean will be, manifested into a world-class environment. From
Exactly.
my point of
So we're talking about a new civilization born in the Aegean, in the South Aegean Islands, and it's very important that symbolic that we are here also in Delphi. And if we could give an oracle about the future, we are very optimistic about the future. We need the government and all the stakeholders to come together and create the new positive pandemic. We have seen that through COVID, people united and we went through. Now it's the time for the positive pandemic. We have to implement the model of Telos into other islands and into other countries. Of course, there are countries that they are pioneering, like UAE, and organizations like IHC and ADQ from Abu Dhabi that have taken the initiative to implement the same model into a larger scale, addressing about 700,000 people. And I think this is also something which is great news, and it could be implemented also in bigger cities. So there are solutions. The solutions are based, in order to add to Ilektra, into, first of all, to behavioral change.
100%.
Okay, you can invest in AI, in robotics, and whatever you want. If you don't change the mind of the consumers with continuous education, that's why we have partnered up with INSEAD, and we are using VR technology in order to educate large-scale projects like the one with Aldar and Tadwir, ADQ in Abu Dhabi. You will not have the wanted results. So I do believe that we are in a very good position. We have to take the best practices and scale them up, and scale them up fast, because the news and the reality is not good at all.
Can
well said.
I
Very well
compliment
said.
quickly what
Compliment?
Yeah.
Please. Yeah.
Well,
I want to focus on the unlocking of the potential part really quick. We've only got like 5 or 6 minutes.
Just quickly complimenting that, indeed, I mean, I sketched a beautiful picture, but we have to address also the elephant in the room,
Yes.
which is the overconsumption.
100%.
And I don't like to blame that only on the consumer. We are all consumers, citizens, we are owners of companies and everything.
That's right.
It's a systemic issue, so it requires to go hand in hand. Policy and as financial investment for new circular business models, also rewards for consumers when they are going into circular products. So it shouldn't just be left as it's only a responsibility of, I like to think that as a much more systemic, holistic approach when we're talking about that.
Yeah, it's very interesting you said. I mean, one of the things that I'm very big on is, coming from business building and business transforming companies internationally, I strongly believe, and one of the quotes that I've mentioned many times in the past has been that I strongly believe that business is the leading catalyst to positive change. And we must support that and drive that, because it unblocks things very, very, very quickly. Regulation follows in many, many ways and can learn along the way. And so with that in mind, the term circulist is very much around the opposite to being an industrialist. And it's a mindset that we need to shift towards, and it's a language that we need to start using accordingly. From a perspective of unlocking the potential, what are your thoughts on how we unlock the potential? I mean, we've got many, many examples of great companies internationally doing great things. One example is a company called Signify, which is the ex-Philips commercial lighting business. We got rebranded when they were spun out and shifted their business model together with the rebrand to becoming a brand new organization with materials at the center of their universe, and a business model that shifted away from selling light systems in buildings and airports and infrastructure around the world in large projects, to shifting towards products as a service. So when you actually buy something from Signify, you actually just buy light. You buy the time and effort of light that you are using in your buildings, and the rest of it is owned and operated, and more importantly, is the responsibility of the product brand to take things on. So from my point of view, the question is, how do we help and assist companies and think about unlocking the potential of product brands becoming responsible in taking action and reimagining their operating models in some sense. Or, you know, there's a big awakening for some of the large mature players to consider this. There's a big innovator's dilemma issue in my view, coming from tech for 30 years. And there's going to be a lot of upstarts that come through. Maybe some of these young people in front of us, even some of the older of us here, including ourselves, can take on and reimagine these opportunities. What are your thoughts on unlocking the potential, guys?
Yes, I mean, this is definitely the future. Please, you have to start thinking that you are going to stop possessing things
100%.
because
Correct.
you are not responsible. You have proven that you are not responsible. It is also your individual responsibility, but it's also the system which doesn't help you to be responsible. So, since the consumer cannot be longer responsible, it goes back to the producer. The producer will be responsible. The producer will have the ownership, and you will have the use of it in everything.
I like a term I heard once about that. Instead of using the word consumer, we can call ourselves stewards.
Yes.
Because steward is somebody who is responsible to use something, but also give it back in the same way, caring for resources instead of consuming. Has you know, an energy that you are just taking it and it dies. But a steward is somebody who uses things and then make sure that they are in good quality and they can go to next generation.
So in order to have this characteristic, you have to have knowledge, to give value also. So you have to be educated, constantly educated, and go back to the old times, because don't forget the circular economy was in practice from humanity till 20th century.
Exactly.
Only the last 100 years we have been going linear.
That's right.
And now we are talking about zero waste systems, and we are saying that, okay, it's the new big thing, but please make the remark that in 40 years there will be no such a word as zero waste. There will be no waste. Everything is going to be circular. I am optimistic.
Yes. On the question you had, yes, on how do we unlock the potential, I have two thoughts. One way, when we look at sustainability transitions or transformation on a system scale, one way to go is to look at lighthouse projects. So we pilot things, obviously, on a small scale, and Ireland is a great
microcosm.
It's a great ecosystem to pilot technologies, but also regulation and behavior change. And then we look at what works and scale it up.
Yes.
And on your question also, with circular economy, and when we studied this circular economy on a global level, we have identified 3 key levers. I'm not going to say something you might have not heard, but like, how can we create a policy playing field where there is support and the regulation for such technologies? You need to have policy-free zones to experiment with such materials, to secondary and all that. How we can have financial incentives for these models, and then what Athanasios was saying, upskilling the workforce. In a circular economy, not all jobs are going to remain the same.
Very true.
And we need to prepare at all levels, from C-level executives to the ones that they are really using the technologies to be able to operate in a circular way and have the circular mindset. So
100%. I concur with everybody, all our conversation, well, part of our conversation today. I think we're going to have to sort of wrap it up here with a final comment from me, in the sense that what we're shifting towards in this sustainable, circular, materials-first economy that we must shift towards, we need to be very open and collaborative in learning from one another's best practices, and more importantly, learn from our failures, and not being afraid to learn from failures, and being open about transparent with these things in order for us to transition this a lot faster than we are right now. So with that, I'd like to close it, and thank you all for participating and hearing us.
Thank you.